to the Fantasy Source Baseball Podcast. My name is David A. Arnott, sitting here with Brad Pinkerton. And one of the most exciting parts of owning a fantasy baseball team is that you can decide if you want to try to own a young player that nobody else in your group has heard of, or even if they have heard of him, you decide that you're going to take a chance on him first, and when it works out, there's nothing sweeter in this world.
And of course, you're talking about Eric Hosmer and the stutter he calls last week. And I noticed in our Experts League, you got beat to the punch on Eric Hosmer.
Yes, I actually checked out. I needed a first baseman because the awful Derek Lee is my first baseman, and I checked the Roto World. I saw the update that he's being pulled up. Rushed over to the site. 13 minutes too late. I remember it exactly. 13 minutes too late, and I was kicking myself because I knew that I should have picked him up a week ago, whatever it was. And so I immediately went out and picked up Brandon Belt, who is tearing up the Pacific Coast League yet again. I might add, second year in a row that he's doing this, and he has an opportunity in San Francisco.
Absolutely, and what we're looking at right now is Aubrey Huff's struggling a little bit, but they got him back at first base, which helps the Giants defensively. But now they got Cody Ross healthy and in right field, and he's just not hitting. He's really not the answer. I wouldn't be surprised if Belt does come back very soon and helps your fantasy team out, since you're able to scoop him off the wire.
I mean, let's just lay it out there. Brandon Belt already has pretty much proven everything he needs to prove at AAA. He's just playing some outfield now. There are a few concerns over about why or when you want to bring him up because of service time and so on and so forth. But since they already brought him up at the beginning of the season, it's not really that much big of a deal for him. The real thing is that Bruce Bochy and the Giants, who's going to be the odd one out? Is it going to be Ross? Is it going to be Pat Burrell? Is it going to be Aubrey Huff? Or are they just going to rotate Belt around? And in any case, it's looking like really Pat Burrell, I think, is going to be the one who sits and Cody Ross plays out in left field. Whatever happens, Brandon Belt, if he plays and he plays like an average major leaguer, he's probably a below average. He's definitely a below average fantasy player, but he could be useful to me.
And there's plenty of upside, and that's what this is all about. You're dropping basically the last guy on your bench to pick up these prospects. And the good news is, if you miss out on Hosmer, or even if somebody already beat you to the punch on Belt, there are other guys who are very close to getting their foot back into the major leagues, if not for the first time.
Now, I would say Belt, just because of the type of player he is, the only way he might be an above-average fantasy player is if he steals bases at the same rate he did in the minors, and I'm playing him at first base. Other guys who are in the minor leagues now that might actually provide some positive plus above-average fantasy value include guys like Dustin Ackley, who's a second baseman but who can hit the crap out of the ball.
Dustin Ackley, actually, I think his projections have been inflated because of his college stats. He could very well be an aluminum bat hitter. But he does have very good numbers. He's got decent power. He's got good speed. And he could give you across-the-board production, and I think what we're looking at is Jack Wilson at second base in Seattle is just not cutting it. Right. And we've already seen them call up two young outfielders this week to start a clear house, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ackley's not too far behind.
Now, if you're looking at a middle infielder who might give you a little bit of pop, are you thinking 10 home runs from here on out the rest of the season?
That sounds about right if he were to come up.
Like his absolute upside, maybe Neil Walker?
No, I don't want to put an upside on a guy who hasn't even been in the major leagues yet, but I'm thinking if I'm picking him up to help me out at an MI spot, I'm hoping for 10 home runs out of Dustin Ackley.
Okay. What about switching to the outfield, where there's a much broader pool of players, but because there's a broader pool of players, there are more guys with different skills that might be able to help you out. I'm specifically looking at the Phillies situation.
Yeah, and the Phillies have Ben Francisco right now really struggling in the right field, and they've got plenty of incentive to call up Dominic Brown, give him a chance. He's healthy now, and he's raking in AAA. So I got a feeling he might be the next one we see in the big leagues, the next prospect to call back up.
What would you expect from Brown when he comes up to the majors?
Well, Brown's got a good power-speed combo. I'm not looking much in the average category here. I think he's going to struggle. He's really going to be up and down, but he will put together, I'm looking double-digit homers and steals. Now that might not, depending on your league, that might not be enough for you to grab him, but the excitement's there, and he's going to be owned in a lot of leagues. So he's definitely worth it if you've got an outfielder that you're just unhappy with and want to see what he can do.
So maybe, if I can make the leap, maybe if you're in a 3 outfielder league, not really worth your time.
Probably not.
5 outfielder league, two utility players like we play in our Sporting News league, absolutely should be.
That's when you start thinking about it, yeah.
But switching leads, another outfielder who's been hitting exceptionally well, has a really high stolen base potential and has done it over the years, Desmond Jennings.
He's the door is now opening in Tampa Bay because Sam Fold is starting to play like Sam Fold, and I don't know how much longer Tampa Bay is going to roll with that. Maybe they give it till June so we avoid any arbitration problems there with Jennings, but.
Well, they got to wait for Matt Joyce to start playing like Matt Joyce.
Well, Matt Joyce can stay in the outfield with Upton and have Jennings take Fold's place basically in left. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do. But Jennings, I think, is also on the way, and it's going to be somebody to watch, especially if you need speed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Zips, one of the top free projection systems out there, had him over 30 stolen bases if he were to play in the major leagues in a full-time job already. I think we projected him to be a real steals mover before the season if he were to play. And you know what? Even if he only ends up with something like 20 steals on the season, that's after the first month is done. That can be a real difference maker.
Yeah, and I just want to caution owners, too. This is not Carl Crawford, too.
Right.
This is not the same guy. This is Desmond Jennings. He's a speedster. Possibly could give you a few home runs, maybe a decent average, but this is not Carl Crawford.
Yeah, I mean, and remember also, we're talking about rookies. I mean, that Buster Posey comes around, Jason Hayward comes around every once in a really long time. And even Hayward, when you think about it, didn't put up such a monster season that it was notable. It was notable because he was 20 years old when he did it.
Exactly.
Any other rookies, potential rookies that might get called up that you're looking at and saying, you know what, there's an outside chance they could be fantasy relevant this year?
Yeah, I think, you can go right back to Kansas City, and Mike Moustakas there could be called up for the third base job, but I think that's going to be another month or so, maybe June 1st at the earliest. Wilson Bedemit's there now. He's serviceable, but he's not really putting up the numbers that are going to entrench him in that job, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Moustakas get the shot, everyday shot.
And then a guy I was actually thinking about and kind of interested in, it's because I don't know what his position is listed at. Some sites he might even have second base eligibility is Brett Lowry.
Brett Lowry, yeah, he's somebody definitely worth tracking, but it's going to be interesting to see what Toronto does with him. The Blue Jays don't have a problem with just cramming people into a position and telling them they hit. Don't worry about fielding, just hit. So Lowry is by trade a second baseman, but they've been playing him at third. He has maybe a better chance of playing third in the big leagues, but Encarnacion's there now. They run in Bautista every now and then at third, so it'll be interesting to see how or when they get Lowry at bats. But he's somebody worth watching, and probably the last guy on this list that I would worry about picking up anytime soon.
All right, Brad, thanks for joining us.
Thanks a lot.